Good afternoon and welcome again here to another exciting edition of Talking Sports. I am your host, Marvelous M.R. Richards, and I've got a very special guest with me here today. Someone who we had a couple of weeks back, and we did promise to bring him back. But with the Olympics this year and preparation, and there will be elections and so forth, the Antigua and Barbuda Athletics Association, we decided to bring him back, and then he's here to share with you all what is going on in the field of athletics. But first of all, we'd like our viewers to know that Talking Sport has been made possible by ACB Caribbean. Of course, they are our platinum sponsor, and they have been in banking for over 63 years and 43 years of sponsoring Parish League cricket in Antigua. And that is really a long and a good relationship. And so we are recommending that if you have any banking and financial needs and you want some sort of assistance, you can check them out. They are situated on the corner of Thames and St. Mary Streets. And it's also a branch here on High Street. And also, Talking Sport has been made possible by Blue Mountain Water. Of course, the distributors there for Blue Mountain Water is Mega Distributors, and they are situated on the American Road. And so when we talk to our guests, and they're going to have the championship, the national championships coming up this weekend, I believe, we are going to recommend to them that they check out Mega Distributors for Blue Mountain Water. And also Cecil Char's group of companies through his pharmacy, which is Seco Pharmacy, and they're situated right here along with the ACB Bank and on High Street. And so for all your medical needs, you can check them out. Also through the distributors of course, Pine Hill Juices. It's Hutchison Limited, and they are situated on the Factory Road, along with plumbing and electrical. For all your plumbing and electrical needs, they are situated on the Potter's Main Road, and also Brandfuless. Brandfuless is also situated here on High Street, and the name speaks for itself. Brandfuless. You can pay less to have the best. So you check them out, and they're situated on High Street, and you can also tell them that we here at Talking Sports sent you, and they will sort you out as how you need to be sorted out. Now, let me welcome our illustrious Olympian, and also the president of the Antigua and Barbuda Athletics Association, someone who we promised, as I said earlier, to bring back and to let us all know what is going on in the land of athletics. So welcome again, Mr. Everton Cornelius, Mano Cornelius. Welcome to Talking Sports.
Hey, thanks again. Thanks for having me back. And I hope we can have a very fruitful discussion this evening going forward.
Oh, certainly we will. Now, first of all, tell us, I think there are some championships, the national championship coming up, when it is, and how is that going?
I think the plan for it is going well as it pertains to our athletes and the venue. As we had one handicap at the venue, the fact that we don't have any seating, and that within itself seemed to pose a challenge for us when it comes to spectators. That is something that we are looking into right now. And at the same time, we're having dialogue presently as we speak with the Ministry of Health, so we can have the protocol for that meet work out. And hopefully by tomorrow midday, I think we should have words as to the way forward where that is concerned, where the protocol for the meet is concerned. Outside of that, I think that everything else is basically in place for us to have the event. One thing I would want to, our intention was to bring home all of our senior athletes to participate, and it is for the ranking purposes. It is good for them to come home and compete in their national championship because they get more points than when they compete elsewhere. But what we are really fighting against at this point in time, if you want to say is a fight, but what we're up against, I should more say more than fighting against, but what we're up against at this point in time is the fact that we have not received the full certification for our trackers yet. So the athletes coming home to run, if they run the qualifying time for the Olympics, they would not, it would not go towards that. So we are looking elsewhere for our senior athletes, who are overseas to go and probably get further competition for their qualification. There is a meet in the Bahamas presently that I had dialogue with the president of NACAC, and hopefully tonight I will have dialogue with the president of the Bahamas Athletic Association. I already sent off some information and asked them to include our athletes because they have a last chance. It's 2 meets they're having. They're having their national championship, and they're also having the last chance, what we call a last chance qualifier for the Olympics. So we hope to get a couple of our athletes to go up. Well, our senior athletes more or less, not just a couple, but our senior athletes who are actually vying for a position to make the qualification for the Olympic team. So that's basically where we're putting our focus right now when it comes to the Olympics itself per se. As you know, we have at least one athlete. We have one athlete qualify for track and field, is CJ. We have at least two, I will say, close enough, two athletes who probably can get in based on the ranking system into it. When we look at the overall ranking system and their competition, I think it augurs well for Joella. She's coming, she'll be home, and she'll take part in our national championship. That should give her at least some points going forward. Who else is coming? Siobhan, no, I don't think Siobhan is going to come again. We're not going to bother to bring home Siobhan. We're going to send her straight to the Bahamas. She'll be here. Tico Agara will be here. And as you know, CJ's here already for reasons beyond his control. So he's here. And so once they're here, they will participate in whatever event we're having, whether it's just to run a 100 meter or the case may be. They will at least take part in the nationals.
And what do you think our chances are with this Olympic this year? Do you think we have the best squad that we have ever assembled?
No, I wouldn't say the best. I think we assembled the best squad of athletes in 2015 and 2016. Okay. I think that was the best. To be honest with you, if we look at go back to 2015 and we look at the Pan American Games, where we broke a record that stood there for about 15 years, right. And we have that record up to this day. But that's the 4x100 meter relay. I guess that's why when everybody talk about going to the Olympics, they say, what about the relay team? I like to tell people, a relay team doesn't come overnight. Right. It's not a situation where you can just put 4 men together and say, go and run a relay. Mm-hmm. But they need to be running a particular time, I'm saying, in the 100 meter, for you to be confident enough that once you can clear the baton around the track, that you can be in contention, or you can get in the top 16 teams in the world. And to me, to be in the top 16 teams in the world, it's a great achievement for a small country like Antigua and Barbuda. We only have 108,000 people, or 100,000 people in Antigua, 120,000 people if you're playing with the figures. What is the chance of us really putting together an Olympic team that can at least qualify in the semifinals of the Olympics, of the 100 meter? That Antigua was one of two countries that had 2 athletes in the semifinals. And we probably could have had 3 if at the time that Miguel did not get injured. Right. So it's an achievement by itself for us. It's something that to tell us, listen, we have the talent here. And if we keep on investing and working, we can continue to produce athletes year after year. We may not be able to produce a barrage of athletes because of our population. You're competing against all of the other sports. You have basketball, you have football, you have cricket, and everybody, all the young folk, the younger kids nowadays want to play soccer more than any other sports and basketball. So we just have to, in some form or fashion, get them to at least multi-sports. I think it's time enough for athletes start playing multi-sports, not just concentrate on football, because there's a lot of football players who's just not going to make it playing football.
That's right.
Who can make it in track and field? There's a lot of people out there who's playing cricket who's not going to make it in cricket, but probably can make it in football. And you have to share it around. And if we multi-sports, I think in most cases, we will find the athletes that we're looking for to represent us at just about any level.
But you think that is because we're so seasonal? I mean, there's a cricket season, and then there's a football season, and then rather than a program that is designed to have the athletes training all year?
I think the athletes training all year would come down federation to federation. Is exactly what you put in place. I think my contention when I look at sports, in general in Antigua over the years, one thing that I find lacking, the sports are too individual. For a country of this size, we all want our little piece of the pie. And football want to be over here in a corner, cricket is here, track and field is here, basketball is here. So we are so segmented. And I think it is time enough for us to meet as associations, recognizing in our discussion that all of us want the best for our country. I think that is the bottom line situation. It's about representing Antigua. And it should be beholden all of us as administrators of the sports that we want to put the best of what we have out there at every time that we're going to represent this country. And once we put our head together and come to that conclusion, and we're working in that sense, it means that I will have when I'm having a track meet, I will have the support of football, basketball, cricket. I'll have the support of these people going forward. And likewise, whoever is having, all of us support. I think it is time enough, and for us to get that done, I think it's time enough as administrators of sports, people who are looking about representing the country, that when we're having an event, you're having your national championship, I think that you should really invite, if not the head of every association, both the head and the general secretary of each association should get an invitation to show up at your event. I think that's where we can gather together and laugh and talk and have a drink and chit-chat about the future of our sports in our country, how we are going to promote our country, how we are going to represent our country going forward, whether it's going to be in football, basketball, what are some of the problems that we're having in football, what are the problems we're having in track and field, and how can we as organization come together and solve these problems. These are things that we need to start looking at here. We are just too fragmented when it comes to these things.
Isn't that the responsibility maybe of the NOC? Like what you were, what you were just talking about.
I don't even see it as a responsibility of the NOC. I think all of us need now to start to recognize. As I said, no, we're too individualistic.
Right.
I think all of us need to understand that we are representing a country. It's a country we represent. We're not representing ourselves. You don't hear the football. When the football, you can always big up a football player if he's performing to a particular level and he's the best you have. Yes, give him the spotlight. He needs to get the spotlight. But at the end of the day, when we put a national team together, that star is insignificant to what we can do as representing the country. It takes the whole team, and the star is not representing himself, but the team is representing all of us as a nation. And it's seeing things that way will help us to better understand the way forward and the things that are lacking when it comes to us coming together. It must be done from a nationalistic point of view. That's what we represent, our country. And all of us should do our best to make sure. Ask the questions. Pose the hard questions. Put them out there. Why aren't we not getting the best of the best out there? And my little humble opinion, as I say, we don't multi-sports. In our days growing up, Mervyn, all of us play cricket, football, run a little track and field, shoot a little basketball. We play all the sports that we can play. Today the kids some of them just want to go and play basketball and basketball alone. I tell you something. Some of the best high jumpers that we can produce here in Antigua, they are playing basketball. They are playing basketball. They had a young man who used to play high jump for us a few years ago in Carifta, and he's playing basketball. That guy has some serious vertical, but for whatever reason, he don't want to do track and field anymore. He wants to play basketball, and that's what he does. And I'm saying we have a lot more athletes out there like that, who are maybe playing football, who can be great jumpers, great throwers, even some of those people in bodybuilding. If you multi-sports, if you come out, like when we used to have Independence Day Sport Day, when a lot of people come out, some of the old boys, what I will consider to be old boys when I was a teenager, those guys came out. I remember this pilot chap, names come and go, but he's going to come back here. Kelsey. Peter Kelsick. I remember Peter Kelsick. Peter Kelsick, big, tall man. That time he was a pilot at Lear. We're little teenagers. But when we're having our state, the track and field championship, he will come and compete with us. And I will even remember the bodybuilder that from Villa that just died just lately. What was his name there? He came and run distance with us. Eddie Hunt. Eddie Hunt also came and run track with us. And these guys were much older than us, right? And I'm saying we need more of that happening in the country. Whether it's going to be the over 40 football team, the over 40 cricket team, and masters track and field, and we need something. But I tell you more, Mervyn. My problem is, and I think my biggest problem is, we do not have a history of our sports in this country. And I'm speaking across the table. We don't have a history. Every one of our athletes, whether they are footballers, cricketers, basketballers, track and fielders, they think when they excel in the sports, it starts with them. I don't know. But who to blame? We cannot blame them. We cannot blame them. We have to blame ourselves. Because we are the one who fail, and not maybe just us now as present administrators, but it happened from way back. You know, nobody think they had to chronicle the advancement of sports and the people who have achieved and really gain substantial recognition or bring substantial recognition to this country via sports. And we need to do it. You know, because I remember one day this young guy asked me, he said to me, he said, Mr. Cornelius, what's the longest jump you ever do? I said, 25 feet. Then I say, he said, I said, but listen, there's a lot of people in Antigua who jump 25 feet before me, you know. He said, what? So I started calling some names. He said, you're joking? I said, yeah. I said, you make me think that is Noble is the first because Noble is in your age group. But you had me, you had Calvin, you had Lester. I'll get to Lester, buddy, like, I say, yeah, I say, you had Lester Bird, you have Lester Benjamin, and you can go James Brown, you can go on and on and on. Alfred Brown didn't jump 25, but triple jump was a pretty good triple jumper. So we have the talent, and if we don't really let the younger one knows, at least have somebody to emulate. I say, this is my role model here. This is the person I want to be like. This is what I want to achieve. Then we have a problem because everybody thinks that it starts with them.
True.
And soon we're going to lose a whole generation of athletes simply because there's just nothing to shoot for. People just do it just for the fun of it, and when they have enough of it, they just walk away from it. They don't see a future in the sports. Even though it might be on TV that you can see people can make big money here and big money there. You have to be among the best in the world to really achieve it.
I know, well, we have physical education in the schools, right? What do you think that they should be doing? For example, I remember, the reason I'm saying this is because I know that there was one point when we had someone from, I think, the Australian Sport Association or somebody from AIS who we had in Antigua, and he did some talent identification and was able to produce to the different associations of the testing that these people are, he would recommend them based on the test, that he would recommend them to athletics. These would be for basketball, you know, these for cricket, based on the test that he had produced. Do you think that is something that we should really do first? I mean, and then assign or direct our athletes to the different areas where they could perhaps excel better in? It's
a costly venture. It's not something that you can say yes, we should do it. But I'm saying, you know, it's a very scientific process. And it costs money to have the equipment and have the experts. You might be able to send an athlete or two maybe to Australia or somewhere in the States, you know, where they can do that for you. But as to really do it within your school system, to say who go here and who go there, then no, from that level, I don't think that it would be something that we can afford financially, unless we want some good money that we can do it. But what I think need to happen in the school, I think we have to be, the coaches or the physical education teacher need to be a little more open-minded when they're dealing with the athletes, and speaking of athletes in general. And when you're dealing with them, to say to an athlete, hey, listen, I think that you'll make a better cricketer than a track and field runner. You may love track and field, but you're just not going to make it in track and field. Right. But I watch you play cricket, and here's where the multi-sports comes in.
Right.
You see, by the time you get out of school, somebody can say to you, because I represent my school in cricket, I represent my school in track and field, I represent my school in basketball. I'm doing those multi-sports. We all did that when we were growing up.
That's true.
Okay, so once you can see, and you can see exactly where the talent lies within that athlete, now you can direct the athlete. You say, listen, man, give cricket up, give football up. You stick to track and field, leave track and field. You're not going to win a race in track and field, but you know you play some pretty good football. Play there, and you know you may never amount to be the best football player, but at least you'll bring your standard to a level in the game that you could have never done in track and field or in cricket that you may probably enjoy because your friends are playing. Because in most cases, you know, we are following our friends. We are following our friends to play these various sports and not really paying attention to our individual talent. Going forward. So see some of the things. I look at the school system and how we can make the school system produce the type of athletes, or help us produce the athletes that we can at least direct to the various sports. It's that it needs to be more organized. I don't know how. I think cricket is somewhat organized because they have a regular league that runs within the school system. I think the same thing goes for football within the school system. I think football is organized within the school system. We now need to have track and field organized, because basketball is also organized within the school system. We need to have track and field organized within the school system. Just like a school have a basketball team, a football team, and a cricket team, you need to have a track team. I'm telling you, once we go down that particular road, you would be surprised. And that's where the multiplying come in, because once a guy realizes he can go and score some points for his school team in track and field, he's going out to run for his school team. And then he's going to realize, something, boy, I'm a better athlete than really knocked up with cricket, I'm a better runner. At least I can make the national team here, which will never make the national team playing cricket. And it helps you to kind of expand your horizon in terms of your thinking and the type of sports that you can actually participate in, that makes sense at the end of it, that brings value to you at the end of the day. And these are some of the things that we just need to do. We just need to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of developing sports within the schools, in the school system.
I know at one time the whole question of if you had to choose like 6 association or 6 sports where the government could perhaps lend its support financially, because that is something that we know we can meddle in, or something that we can get to the top with. Because to tell you the truth, we play a lot of sport, but it's not all the sport is going to get you to where you really want to go. So we need to look at our strength and say, well, look, in track and field, we should pump some money behind that. Football, we may get a couple of footballers into big clubs or scholarships or stuff like that. What do you think of the idea, and the sports you think that we should be focusing on, and give all our support, because we can't play all the sports and try to make it on the world stage.
And you're absolutely right, because our population is that small.
That's right.
We have ask me how many, if you look around seriously and do an analysis and to find out how many of our citizens are inhabitants here on this island is actually involved in sports, and ask what percentage of that within the sporting fraternity, what percentage of the population is actually in sports, and we look at that, we have a very small number of people, spectators to go around. You don't have the opportunity for me to have my national championship the same time that you're having a football tournament, match going on, because people heart are more involved in the football. Football is a everyday thing that goes on around here, and once football season starts, everybody seems to gravitate towards that. You do have your track and field followers, you do have your cricket followers, but then if you bring test cricket, all of us go and watch it. If you bring World Cup, a World Cup qualifier to Antigua, we go and watch. But when it comes to the domestic league now, football is the dominant sports that takes most of the spectators that come forward and watch it. Track and field could pull that maybe in the 70s and the early 80s. I know when we used to have our little 1 meet per year. We feel recreation.
That's right.
Everybody's inside there watching our once a year track meet. And that was good. And so these are some of the things that we have to look at. We can't really over broaden the base. And the question is, what are the sports we think that we should really invest into?
Yes, right.
And if I look at it and being honest, I will say to you, I'll go with football, I will go with cricket, I'll go with basketball, I'll go with track and field. Now, and because nowadays you can't even say, and then we go with netball, because female play basketball, cricket, bam, 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 all the sports you're talking about. So they are not excluded, they are included in any sports that you call. Then you may want to go for netball and tennis. And I think that if those are 6 sports, I think that's where it stops.
I think those are fair 6.
I think that's where it stops, honestly. And in terms of investing, right? Until the other sports can come up to a particular level, that we can say this now. Let's take volleyball, for instance, that we can say, we can go out volleyball and we can win the Caribbean basketball championship. We know we have a team here. We are number 1 in the Caribbean. We have been doing it over a number of years. We can say, listen, this is something now we can start looking towards the next level, whatever they may have to the next, take us to the next level, and see how we match up. And if we're matching up, I'm saying that once we're matching up, we should invest it. We should invest in the sports. You come on board once you start making the type of strides that we think worth us investing money in you. And I think that's what we should do with the sports are concerned. We need real investment. I think in many cases it's too much lip service. Everybody wanted to achieve first before they invest in you, but you have to know what you're investing in and exactly where it starts and where it stops. For me in track and field, and I've been saying that for just about a number of years, I tell them, listen, just set standards. If you decide that you're going to, because in many of the big countries, there are standards that they set. They tell you, listen, if you can long jump 25 feet, this is the type of money we put behind you, but you can long jump 26 feet, you get a couple extra dollars. You long jump, you can get a couple extra dollars. And I'm speaking long jump, one in what the case may be. So I'm saying it for us to be financing athletes to go overseas to train and try to pay for World Championship, the Olympics, Commonwealth Games and these things. I am saying that for a sprinter, 100-meter man, start at 10.3. For the 200, 20.4, 20.5. And put some money behind you. You got to run at least a 46. Low. For me, put some money behind you in the 400 meters. We're not going to have much 800-meter runners, you know, if you can run 150, 140, 150, 148 in them kind of region. We can start look at you. But we have to set standards and tell and give an athlete so listen, the motivation in a sense. Listen, if you can do this, you will get this. So it's a motivation for you to go out and train hard, because you know, if I can go out and run 10, you know, number one, I'm going to get, I'm probably get a solidarity scholarship, not probably, but if I don't get the scholarship, I get finance from the government. I'll get help from the NOC for me to go out and apply my sports, you know, travel around the world, compete and improve my performance. You know, have these things. So the standards are very important. How would we treat football and basketball and all these other things? I leave that to the experts who understand the sports. To say, listen, then we look at this, we look at your stats and blah, 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 and this is how we will do it. Because they now becomes team sports more than individual. So it makes it a bit difficult. You know, is that you put your national team together, you put money behind your national team, I hope that you can qualify with the best of the best. You know, that's basically what it is. But where individual sports are concerned, you can always set the standards and let people work and say, listen, there's something to achieve if you can do this. If you can get to this level, this is what you do. Except I'm saying in football, you can say, man, the person who scored X amount of goals for the year, what the case may be, assists, all these different things you can look at. And when you start to look at the stats, you can determine who the best of the best that you have.
Fantastic. Just to let you know, you are watching Talking Sports, and of course, this is Marvelous M.R. Richards, and I've got with me our special guest here, Everton Cornelius, who is the president of the Antigua and Barbuda Athletics Association. And we just want to let our viewers also know that Talking Sport is being brought to you by the kind compliments of ACB, Blue Mountain Water, Brands for Less, Prominent Electrical, and Cecil Charles group of companies. And remember, you can watch us live on YouTube and Facebook. And remember to just like and to share. Now, let's get back here now, Everton. Tell me, elections are due, and from my understanding is that you are going to make one more, serve one more term as the president, and
I don't want to serve one more term, but I'll run for one more term.
You're running for one more term.
See if I get elected.
And see if you get elected. All right.
They may not want me anymore. They may have said, listen, time you to step aside and let somebody else take it over.
But from all reviews, you're doing an excellent job, and I'm sure you will be retained as the president. But tell us some of the things the plans that you would have had in moving forward and before you leave the position.
Okay, let's deal with some of the plans that I have in place, and I discussed before that we lack history of the sports, and right now I'm working on that. I won't say feverishly, but I'm pushing that right now. to really get some pictures up on the wall, create the history to show people the people who has achieved certain standard. I'm starting, I can get some information out there. I already spoke to Wesley Barber, got some pictures, I got pictures from Cuthbert, got pictures from Sobey and those guys. I have pictures of myself, Calvin, I'm waiting to get, I'm going to call Lester to get something from Lester Benjamin. I should find something for Bird. I want him to see who are all the presidents in track and field, what they have achieved in track and field. I want to just kind of just lay it out on a wall at Yasco. So when when I move away from sports and you walk into a room and you look at the wall, you should be able to say, listen, man, I didn't even know Cornelius did. I didn't know Lester Bird did. I didn't know what the Prime Minister was in sports. And you go down the road, and I think it's always well for the sports. People would now want to get their picture up on the board, and they know when they achieve that, their picture will be up there and will be there for a lifetime, or forever. Whether you come and go on, it will be still there. Once it can stand the test of time, it will be standing there, but your records would not really diminish. They'll be always there. And this is something that I'm working on now. The next thing I was looking at, when we had our last election, we had some kind of hiccups, and people were arguing about this and arguing about that. So we felt, I think one of the problems that we face in, I don't know if in all of the association, but I hope it's not happening in every association. But I find that sometimes our constitution are just too weak when it comes to membership of the association. True. Because what I find over the years, especially in athletics, I can speak to athletics. I've lived it, and I think it's time enough to bring an end to it. That once you say election, everybody come out of the woodworks. Everybody come to vote. Somebody call Mark, somebody call Mervyn, somebody call Manu, somebody call Samakwa. Oh, come man, come and vote for me, come and vote for so and so and so. And you come and you vote, and when you finish voting, you disappear. Right? So you're still left with the 6, 7, 8, or 9, 10 people that you decide to ship around and move around to contend with the sports. And I'm saying no to that. So I look at the association, I look at the constitution, and I had discussion with my governing body, which is NACA, Caribbean governing body, and I had discussion with World Athletics where that is concerned, and they said, listen, you go ahead and make the adjustment to the constitution that you think is necessary, in keeping with our constitution as much as you can. You can't follow everything by the T, and send us a copy. And if we think we need to ask you to add anything else to it, we'll let you know, and maybe from time to time that you can probably ratify your constitution going forward. And that is something that I'm looking at, because I think it's time enough that if you're going to be involved in a sport, if you want to be a part of it, don't just show up on his election. You need to be involved. Our constitution today is going to tell you, listen, if you want to run for a position on the executive, you must at least be participating in the activities. Not as an athlete, but you must be participating in the activities of athletics. That's when we have a national championship, where you come and give lip service, or you come and work, or you come and look on, or you come and help, or you do something for the sports. We want to see you a high percentage of the time around the sports. When we call general meeting, we expect to see you at our general meeting, because how can you come and run something if you don't ever come around to anything? Exactly. That's what this is what I'm trying to figure out. How can you want to come around an organization? You have never seen the sports, you have never even understand the problems that they're facing with, so you can have a solution to it. You want to take second hand. Somebody say, well, so and so and so and so and so. I mean, you need to fix so and so and so, but you don't have no experience in the area to at least come up with your own solution to the problem. And I'm saying you need to participate. The next thing that I found, once election is over, people don't want to pay dues, and it's a yearly due. That dues that you have to pay, fee that you have to pay, and everybody wants to do that. A month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months before. Once you hear election, every man paying for 3 years and 4 years. I personally tell you, listen, I cannot live with that. I cannot live with that particular situation. It doesn't really make much sense. It doesn't really work for the sports in general. It doesn't help in the development of it. And it is something that we as an association need to put aside. Something else we had looked at also is the fact that we're a small organization, and I know some in our constituency said that you have to do an audited account. And funny enough, I was at a meeting one day, and the president asked me, so I think the president or the secretary asked me, so Mr. Collins, what you all do in terms of finance, accounting for your finance. I said, we don't audit account. He said, man, you have money, man. He said, He said, you have
Well, once you bring an audited accountant in, you know,
he said, you have money to be doing things like that. He said, what you need is just a financial, it's just an income and expenditure statement going forward. For the little money. If you have in a meeting, somebody sponsors it, just to show what the expenses are.
That's right.
And the balance sheet, and the balance sheet, and the balance sheet at the end, and the balance sheet at the end, and the balance sheet at the end of the day.
Right.
That you know, this is the money and how the money is being spent. So, you know, these are some of the areas that we have to look at. And going into the election, and I say once you can have these things ironed out and everybody is in agreement with them, I think that it's lent to make the association much stronger. And then, you know, people know if you want to be a part of it, you have to be really interested in being a part of it. Not you come in when it's election and then you disappear. Because I've seen that for all my life that I've been in track and field. I've been back in Antigua since 1982. And but from the time until now, that's what I see in track and field. Say election, people show up. When election finish, people disappear. And some of them I just sit there and I just laugh. I say, look at this. I say, at the end of the election, right? It's going to be me, Calvin, Jawaki, Carl, and you know, the little Hedy, and Teddy. Yeah. You know, those 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10 people. And then for years, they're there. Just doing it. But then, you know, maybe me and Carl can't see eye to eye, or me and Jockey can't see eye to eye. So then maybe what I'm doing doesn't really fits into his liking. You know, because he's not benefiting the way he thinks he should be benefiting from it. So I can't get rid of man. Somebody say, well, I don't like what John is doing over there, so let's get rid of John. You know, but still I put the same set of people. So I tell them it is time enough for us to sit down. As grown-ups. Now, we are all grown up now. Some of us are grandparents. And listen, I'll tell you something, Mervyn, I'm laughing a couple of days ago. I'm just kind of just departing for our discussion. And I'm looking at one of my athletes say, how old are you? He said, going on, I'm 30 something. I say, I coach you. I know I coaching your daughter. I coach Kosi daughter. So we just laughing, you know, we just laughing and say, man, you know how long we at this? I say, I met you when you were 9 years old.
That's right.
You know, that's the kind of years you put into this sports. And you want to see changes. I'm not in track and field. You know, sometimes I hear people say, oh, you know, oh, you guys just want to go to Olympics and World Championship and, you know, you want to go to this meet. I'm being honest with you. I don't care to show up at no meet with no athletes, with any athletes, put it this way. If we're not going to be performing, I don't have the time of day to waste. Because when I leave Antigua, you know, I'm giving up. I can be, to be honest with you, I can be making my money. I can be doing my what my work and make my money. And I said, listen, man, track and field. I remember in my early days when I came back into Antigua, I'm working for people, you know. And people's like, Mr. Collins, can I see you at 4 o'clock? I say, at Yasco. Listen, Mr. Collins, you crazy? I said, no, come to Yasco, man. I said, listen, when I finish work at 4 o'clock, you know, it's Yasco I go. So if you don't have any problem, come to Yasco and discuss what you want to discuss with me. Then let's do it tomorrow. Because I have to give back to this sport. I said, I love it. I said, listen, sometimes I tell some of my clients, no, listen, let me tell you something, you know. If track and field pay money, you know, I tell you, shoot, you know, I've been doing that and that, they say, no. That's how I love the sport, because I know what the sports can do for young people.
And what it did for you.
And man, that's my driving force. Because I knew if it wasn't for track and field, I probably wouldn't even be where I am today. And I want it for every young person in this country. If it's possible for me to give it to them, or they have the talent and the education behind them and the will to do it, I'm telling you, I am willing to go the extra mile to make sure it happens. I remember I'm coaching an athlete, and the father said to me, Cornelius, let me tell you something, you know. You're not going to you're not going to treat my son like how you all treat me. I've been running up and down the place, and when you don't get nothing out of this. I said, let me explain something to you, sir. You see him? That's my son. I will take care of that, man. You don't worry with that. You don't worry about that. And I show him that I'm taking care of that. Nearly all the athletes that I coach, nearly all the athletes that I coach that have any talent, all went off to university.
Fantastic.
Nearly all of them that I coach went off to university.
Well, let me just come back a little to what you said a little earlier about sometimes persons who just oppose for opposing's sake and they only come around when it's election time. That is so true, and that is why I believe the sport is not really getting anywhere, because there is no continuation. Like, this is where Mano left it, let's take it to the next spot, or, you know. but all coming on their little personal agenda. I am familiar with that sort of situation. Now, so you're looking at another. But I said you're looking to run again for another thing. But what would you like to see when you leave? You know, you want to see it in good hands. You'd like to see the continuation of what you have started. Tell me some of this.
Listen. What I would like to what I would like to see is that we really take the sports from, and I want to use the word, from a nationalistic position, that the citizens along, and when we say the citizens, so you can include athletes, everybody, that we take what we do in this country serious, especially when it comes to sports, especially when it comes to representing this country. I don't know how we take something so lightly, and that we have athletes, and Mervyn, this drives me, I have to repeat this over and over, because I do not think that people understand, truthfully understand what we have done in 2015 and 2016. I don't get the feeling that they understand that to this day. And people tell me that they know sports, they understand sports, they understand track and field, and they understand. What is the possibility? What is the possibility of 215 countries making up the Olympics? That is the Olympics body, okay? That participate in. Antigua, 108 square mile. That's Antigua. At Barbuda, 170 something. Okay?
Population.
What is the possibility now, from a sporting point of view, people who actually participating in sports, that you feel that you can put a team together good enough to rank number 8 in the world, going into the World Championship ranking? They're taking the top 16 teams in the world now. Only the top 16 teams in the world can make it
Wow.
to the Olympics or to World Championship. And when the ranking came out, you are number 11.
My God, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You are number 11. To me, that's alone a carnival. That alone is carnival for me.
I hear
Right? Then you turn around and you get to the Olympics. Okay? What are the possibility of you 108 square mile against Jamaica, England, Europe, Asia, Africa, all of them, bring them up. But you get 2 athletes in the semifinals of the 100 meter at the Olympics.
That's an achievement. Yeah, man.
Just look at it. As I said, people, the whole thing doesn't really go by size of countries, about talent, right? And you can argue that point. But what is the possibility of you arriving at that gate? St. Kitts got Kim Collins. They can't find anybody else to come inside there right now. Yeah, but the guys who are running pretty good, qualified for the Olympics, yes. But 1 or 2, we're going to get 1 or 2. But it comes by investment and know how to pool your talent in the right places for you to really continually produce athletes at a particular level. So we must understand the type of investment that we put into sports. And we should, from that investment, should understand what our returns are going to be. Simple as that, right? And if you put very little into it, I'm saying, to give me $100,000 to prepare an Olympic team, ain't no money.
That's not,
There ain't no money. Somebody here get $100,000, I think you get Market Street. But I tell you, that's ain't no money to send nobody in the place. I give you 2 meet, I give you, depends on the size of your team, give you two meet in Europe, 1 in the United States, and hotel, and your money finish. That's what it is. You know. And we have to be realistic. And that's why I said we need to be more nationalistic. Our people need to be more nationalistic. You see, it's like how Jamaica behave. You have to come to that level of understanding what your country truly means to you as an individual. Maybe I was always, or maybe that's why where am I today? Because I am always proud of representing Antigua. Always. You could bet a marble game. You send me to a meeting in Antigua, me represent.
yeah.
Right? I go to college, me represent Antigua. This is my country I'm representing. If I fail, my country fail. That's how I see things in life. You know, I don't really know how the people see it. I don't see that self as an individual person. Because me as an individual, I can just go off in the background. Nobody will remember me. But if I'm going to be upfront and in your face, I am representing my people. It's my people I'm representing. And these are things that I think that we need to get in our head when it comes to representing Antigua, and understanding what we're doing and why we're doing it. It's not about us. It's about our country. And so the country itself must at least contribute towards that representation if you want a high level of representation. So we need to come out as NGOs, government, and all the other people, you know, and make a contribution, whatever little you can make, put it behind our athlete. You go to some people and ask, oh yeah, no, I can't sponsor, man, it's $500. Put it out there. Put it out there. Because at the end of the day, if we go out and we win 2 medals at the Olympics, you might be one of the person who up front in somebody's face talking about Antigua and wave the flag, you wave the highest flag. So when all of us invest into it, it means that all of us can celebrate when there's something to celebrate. And that's how I see the sports. I don't see it no other way. And these are things that we need to look at as we develop the sports. And these are some of the things I would like to see happen. You know, once I'm stepping out of the door, I would like to see people keep on pushing that idea in the citizens' head that we have to be nationalistic. Forget about the politics. Be nationalistic.
Do you think our athletes are getting to that stage now? I mean, you know.
I still don't get it. No. I don't feel it. I don't feel it. You see, for me, there's the interference. It's too much. What I find that the NOC must be more stern in its position and know exactly, I am the NOC, I'm not the governing body of football or basketball. You don't dictate to these sports. You try to understand their constitution and you support them. And you give them guidelines to go forward. Show them, listen, here's where I think you're falling down, this is what I think you need. You know, to keep on raising the standards of the various organizations. I think there's too much. I think what I find, I see this in athletics all the time. You know, the NOC wants to deal directly with the athlete. You know, if I was supposed to make certain stands, people would, I'm sure they probably want me out of Antigua because I can just make a phone call and they can't compete. All they're talking about, I can make a phone call and they cannot compete. And these are some of the things that you don't get those kind, and until the people recognize, the athletes recognize, listen, is the Football Association control this. The president is the one who makes this, the executive is the one who makes decision that governs what I do out there. These are the rules and the regulation. No use of going to the minister, no use of going to nobody else. If you have a problem, get one lawyer. And let's take it into the court and let the court deal with this matter because that's the way it's supposed to be. Outside of that, you follow the rules and regulations that is set out by the various associations. And the NOC should support that. If you have athletes out there and they need to contact the athletes through the association. So I need this and I need this and this athletes, and let the association do their work. So when something happens, you cannot point your finger at the NOC. You point the NOC point at the association. Don't ask me that question. Go and ask those guys down the road there. They're the one who are responsible for that. All I'm responsible to do is that he just send me a name and say I suppose I have that. We already put in place a policy. We know they know the policy. Once they're following the policy, we comes up with the money. Done. And the other work that you have to do, you just do it behind the scene, and you know, all of us will get representation. That's what it is, and that will make the sports, that will make the organizations them much stronger. But I think sometimes it's too much of a power play. Everybody wants to be associated with the winner, and everybody wants to give the person the impression I did it for you. That's basically what it is.
Now, with the COVID situation, do you think that our athletes have been a little behind, or you think that they're, that they were still training and had the opportunity to really, still practice and
Well, they had the opportunity to continue to train following the protocol that was set in place when we were allowed to go back out and train. Everybody did their own little thing based on the protocol. We make sure that was happening. You sanitizing, you wear your mask, and all these different things. Now we are back at the track, and we start some competition at the track. And we went to the Ministry of Health, had discussion with the Chief Health Inspector where that is concerned, and she gave us the guidelines of what we should use going forward. We did that, and we had a couple of development meets. I think one of the low point in the season is the fact that we cannot get to travel to go out and get competition because the protocol varies from country to country, number one, and then when you come back into the country and you may have to go back into quarantine, for 2 weeks, 2 weeks max, or 7 days, what the case may be. It's kind of it's a strain on the program. Really, it's a strain on the program, and it is very frustrating. I am telling you, it is frustrating because you can't really plan. I'm saying we're planning our nationals right now, and I'm basically just at home wondering if to just cancel it or if to have it, and because all the various things that you have to do in terms of the protocol going forward. Can you really step up and do all these different things. And you know, but if we want to have it, we just have to just do what we have to do. You know, we just have to do our best to at least meet the protocol that is been laid out in front of us, so at least we can have the meet. But I think that's some of the handicaps that we have. That the protocol was one, something we have to deal with, and two, we cannot travel out to meets to get the competition that is really required. Luckily, as it concerns the Olympics, that a high percentage of our athletes are overseas. I think it's just maybe one or two athletes here in Antigua. The rest of them, they're overseas. You know, CJ is overseas, Taye is overseas, Chevron is overseas. You know, Priscilla, Tycho, they're all in the States, and Joella, as you know, they are making up the nucleus of what our team would look like going forward. If we can, if there is a possibility of qualifying and putting a real team together. Hopefully we are trying to see if we can get our team into the Bahamas. It's having the last chance meet, the 28th of this month. They're having the national championship the 25th, 26th, and 27th. And hopefully, if the athletes are up there in time, they can participate in both the national and the last chance. The last chance is open to everybody, really. Okay. If you want to get a last chance to qualify for the Olympics, you have that avenue, and that's the last chance, because I think the 29th is the cutoff. If my memory serves me correct, is a cutoff day. So once it's done on the 28th, that's your last chance to qualify. So we're going to try to get most of our athletes to that event, and hopefully that we can do something spectacular where the relay is concerned. And individually, Taye is running CJ. Start with CJ, 10 flat. Taye is running 10:16, 10:17. Oh. Chevron is running 10:25. You know, and we can deal with the other athletes behind there coming in. I sure by time Gerard won this weekend, and probably go up to the Bahamas with those guys, he should get down to about a 10:4. Hopefully he can get down to a 10:4. And if we can get guys running those times, it means that we can, hopefully, if we get into the top 16, because I have to say hopefully, because the year went so bad in terms of you always have a section of people coming in from I think from the previous World Relay, and then you have a section coming in from the World Championship, I think the World Championship, and then a section coming in from the World Relays, and then the slots now that are left are very limited. And a lot of those teams could not get inside there, but because they went to World Relays and they're in the finals, they're gone through. Right. But you know, but if you bring it down country to country and run it, we probably can get back in. We probably could have gotten back in, but we are going to try still. We're going to try and see if we can, hopefully can run a 38, mid 38, 38, 40, what the case may be. It might just sneak us in. It might just sneak us in if we can do that.
But tell me something too, like an Olympic year, the finances are heavy, in preparation.
Yes, it is. It is. The movement, I'm saying, what the nice thing for us is, as I said before, the athletes are in the States quite a bit. For CJ, he runs he's on a contract. He has his manager, so he's invited to meets and paid to compete and stuff like that. So his movement is okay. We're finding his competition as laid out, probably within his contract. As when it comes to representing Antigua on a different level now, we are the one who have to finance that for him. So if I want to bring him home to compete, we'll have to find that. If I want to send him to meet somewhere in the States, we'll have to find. So he'll say to me, I'll ask him, listen, we're having a meet, let's say next month let's go out to the Bahamas, in Bahamas, to end of the month in Bahamas. Are you available to participate, or would you like to participate in that meet? He say, yes, we'll participate, I'll do this event. Can we do a relay? Yes, I'll do the relay. So then we put the team together, we pay for that, and that most of the money come from the NOC, because they have what they call is a preparation grant that is given to them to assist the teams that are preparing for the Olympics, and just not say teams preparing for the Olympics at a certain level. They will invest in you. If they see there is a gateway for you to either qualify or, you know, or get to the next level where that is concerned.
Like sometimes, you know, I like to refer to football where I have first knowledge of certain things, and I know that when we get in like the players from overseas like to come and represent Antigua, the first thing the coach for the teams that they play in England, they want to know who's the coach, who's going to be the coach for these guys, what surface are they going to be playing on, because they want to, when they finish serving their country and they come back, that at least, you know, they're not allowed to party because the coach is not strong enough, or they're going to be playing on a surface that will damage them.
Yeah.
You know, so things like that. Is it that the same thing with athletics? Like, you know?
Athletics is somewhat different because in terms of moving athletes and training and, you know, if you're speaking of the coaching, no, because the surfaces are mostly, they're artificial surface. So you have good surface to compete on in 99% of the time. And in terms of somebody traveling with your coach or bringing their coach along, it has to do a lot with the duration of the person's stay. Because if somebody's coming to Antigua for a 2-day meet, there's no, if you want to bring your coach and your coach want to come along with you, that's between you and your coach and the expenses. They may ask us as a country, listen, can you provide you might ask me as the athlete, can you provide accommodation for my coach because he want to come along with me? And because I'll be in Antigua for 5, 6, 7, 8 days, and you know we want to continue to do our workout and everything, and he wants to be there. And we can accommodate that, yes. But in most cases, the coaches don't really ask for that unless we are going to maybe World Championship or the Olympics, you know, and the athletes that he coaches is going to be there. He would like to continue to work with that athletes leading up to the competition, and that is understood. And if it's a matter of giving them accreditation, we can give the accreditation. We'll get the accreditation once we have.
Yeah, I was more referring to like the you know, the athletes maybe have a program to follow. You know, they come and they know what has to be done in order for them to be.
But they'll give that to you, Mervyn. They can give that to you.
They'll give that to you. Okay.
They can give that to you personally. I'm saying, if I'm the athlete and
the coach has to be the athlete has to be disciplined
enough to know. Well, I'm saying when you reach that level, it's no plain business. You know, if your coach says, listen, on Wednesday, you're supposed to be running 10-200 at, let's say, 10 seconds, just a call, just something. You know, I give Mervyn the paper. This is what my workout for today. Here's a stopwatch. I said, we're going at this time. So you can say, listen, you want it too slow, you want it too fast. Because that's the basic program until you get back to your coach. So it's just something somebody can administer. But you as an athlete has discipline to follow what is being laid out. If you know your program, you know what you're supposed to be doing, 99% of the time the athletes will do it. They would not depart from it. They'll do it.
You are watching Talking Sports. I am your host, Marvelous M.R. Richards, and I've got with me in the studio none other than Everton Manu Cornelius. And once again to let you know that Talking Sports is made possible by ACB Caribbean, Simply Smarter Banking, by Blue Mountain Water, by Cecil Charles Group of Companies through its Seco Pharmacy here on High Street, along with plumbing and electrical, and also Brand for Less. Now tell me something. I in our conversation, Manu, remember, we're on Facebook Live and YouTube, and please share and like. It's very important that you do so. Manu, tell me something. In some of the things that I'm hearing you saying, it's a little bigger than the association that you're involved in. Are there any plans for you for the NOC, or you know, because I mean some of these things that you're talking about are brilliant, and I think it's something that could be shared from the NOC to associations as to how they, you know, how they. You
see, to me, it's a thinking, and this I say it again, and here's where it starts. If we are true to our sports, and we do understand what we want for the country, as sportsmen and sportswomen, as administrators of the sports, then we must look within our ranks and find the people who can really promote and lift the sports, and I say sports, I mean sports in general, to the next level in Antigua, right? It has to be in-house planning among all of us, and we need to understand where we are going and how we are going to get there. It's because I think sometimes people get into position, and you know, once you get into the position, you're sitting for 4 years, and then you know you can come and you can lobby other people, and people vote for you. It's not whether you're going to get the job done, or whether it's in the greatest. Your policies are in the greatest interest of the developing sports in Antigua. It might be you may have a bias over here, but you know we need a more broad-based policy that takes into account truthfully. As I was a part of the NOC before, I understand how it works, and I just think it is something that whoever sits at the top of it, right now is Chet, whoever he sits at the top of it. And I just think that they just need to sit down and put policies. You need to have clear policies that you in basketball know exactly this is it. If I want $1 from NOC, this is what I have to achieve to get $1 from it. You know, if in track and field, this is what you have. Footballers have their money, so come from football. Football have big money. So no, what I'm saying, the little thing that grow now that we get there, can't even help football to the championship. You know, you hear NOC get $500,000, you think it's bad. During an Olympic game, I think it's bad. It's big money. It ain't no big money. You start to put uniform and start traveling and get athletes here, there, and every day and buy this for athletes because some, especially the sailors, they're talking money. So you know, you spend money if you're going to really help it. If you're going to help an athlete get to the next level, and talk about the Olympic level in contention for medals, you're talking about spending big money. Okay, so you need to have clear policies, and what I think need to happen where the NOC is concerned. I think the association themselves, in line with the NOC, need to truly understand what the NOC is responsible for, what the NOC can do for your sports, and then likewise, the NOC should make it pellucid to all of the association. These are the policies that we deal with. This is what you can get. This is what you can't get. You know, if we figure we have a little couple of pennies high down here, and we can give you something out of it, you can get it there, but you cannot get it based on these programs. So if you hear me have $100,000 in this program, and it's not for that, it's just not for that. You know, but people do not know these things. And for that reason, I remember years ago, Jody used to ask me, so NOC is the bank? I said him, yes, it's the bank. It's the bank. Make the policies clear, and then I can tell you, well, no, they are not the bank, but they have certain leverage and where cash is concerned, that they can assist us going forward. But the organization must be clear. They must be clear in exactly what can be given to them, and what if something is here. Why ask me to send a budget? Even I'm going to tell Mr. Carnes, I look at your budget, the budget said $250,000, the NOC can make available to you $50,000 towards your budget. And this is under the heading that you can get your $50,000. Done with you. And once you have that, you can plan. I think the difficulty is planning something and then waiting for the NOC to give you a check or waiting for the NOC to approve something. I think once you send your budget in, you should look at each individual sports. What I think, for me personally, I say, every association, if you want money from the NOC, should have a national championship. You know, have a national championship, you can't get hit me. Point blank. You can't have an association and when you hear, oh, you know, that's a call of sports, that's a tennis. Tennis is having a tournament in Trinidad, and we want to send 2 athletes. Oh, you know, we have so playing good, but you don't have a national championship. No, these things must be just mandated. This is what it is. You want my money, this is what should happen. So if you don't have, furthermore, I tell you something, in track and field, I must tell IW if you give us about, I'm saying I budget World Athletics, give us about $1,500, $15,000 a year. Okay? But you must have a national championship for you to get that money. So why should it be different
on the local scene? On the local scene.
If you want my money, have a national championship. Show me that the sports. Show me that you're building the sports. And then I can come and we can. So when you're having your national championship, now the president or the president representative can come around, or whoever is responsible for winning the NOC can come and look at the organization, see what's going on, see what kind of national championship, how the sports. Maybe last year you had 15. Maybe last year you had 15. You had 15 athletes last year, and now this year you have 20. And the next year you might have 25. So we can see the sports is building. It's growing, right? So then we can see where we can really invest and see where our money is going when we're putting money behind it, because you're pushing yourself to build the sports, and say, you know, if you don't build the sports, I will still get $5,000. I will still get if a 10 man, I will get $2,000. So if you want more money, get more people to participate, and you can probably go up the ladder some more. So these are some of the things I think the NOC need to look at and demand from the sporting organization, because the sporting organization demands a lot from the NOC. And we go out and because of the NOC have the money, and then I spend the money, and they take the money, and that is doing with the money. But what are you doing as a governing body of a federation? What are you doing? And these are some of the things that need to be looked at seriously. Do I see myself as being someone? I don't know yet. At times I consider it. Sometimes maybe I should probably try a stint in it again. I don't know.
Yeah.
But time will.
No, it's
time,
people
time
like
will
you.
tell.
I think we need.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell. Well, you know, people you have to have ideas, man. I'm saying. You see, I spend, and maybe that's what maybe sometimes it's so hurting to me sometimes. You know, I spend all my life. Well, I've been in sports since I'm about 9 years old.
I came
competitively since I'm 12 years old. But me probably will like, hold out. But I've been in it all my life. I love it, and I just want to see the sports grow. We get a track, we get a fiasco there. It didn't come about because some other person come up with this fancy idea that we need a track. It was a situation that started within the Athletic Association itself. Somebody told us about a Qatar initiative when I went to the Congress, and I started pursuing it. I started asking questions. I jumped on. I spoke with the lady who deals with international affairs for athletics, and she said, "Yes, yes, it is there." And I kind of forged a relationship with her, and she really, direct me how to deal with it. And we started writing. We were getting some good traction, and then we basically coming to the end, and and the government decided, well, yes, at the time Chet was Minister of Sports at the time. And he said, yes, the government will do the civil works. And, give him all kudos. And, And then we wrote after them. And then the other thing I had to get was to get a letter from him to say that that Pan Am Sports would make available to us. I think they told me it was about $200,000 or $100,000. There's something that we can get towards that, the lady said to me. And I spoke to him about it. And he said, listen, Carlos, I ain't going to write no letter, man. I'm going to Congress or some meeting. When I go to meeting, I'll present it. And when he did, whatever I know he gave up certain things because I've heard through the grapevine that he had to give up this and what the case may be. And he gave it up and decided, well, they'll give us the surface. And I'm saying, I'm grateful. I think it's something good he did for the country. Can't take it from him. He was behind. He gave us the support we wanted going forward. And at the end of the day, he got us the surface. So because he could have said, no, hey, I need my money to go and build my office. I need my money to put behind some of the thing, whatever or the programs they had. And decide, well, listen, track and field can wait. But he said, no, he see the need for us to get the track, and he went forward and he negotiated for us to get the surface. And, I really appreciate it.
Who should control YASCO?
The Athletic Association.
And they will?
The Athletic Association is controlling YASCO.
Very good.
There is a management team in place. There's a management team in place. But it's the Athletic Association. There's nobody's going to really take over YASCO.
No, sometimes I know government just like to...
Some of it is just talk.
Okay.
People like stories, current minister said this, or the minister said that, Carnier said this, they say that. Those things are not necessary as far as I'm concerned. To me, it's to understand the truth of the matter, and the understanding in which the track was put there. I had conversation with my people. I said, listen, I need some money to so and so. They said, Cornelius, let me ask you something, Mr. Cornelius. So who's going to control the track? I said athletics. They said, oh, because let me tell you now, if athletics don't control the track, we don't give people money. We don't give you money,
I hear.
Athletics must control it. The letters that I got from World Athletics, where it's concerned, the letter stated straight up, if we put our money, it's 15 years. You must control it for 15 years. The same question was asked of the president when he went to Pan Am Sports. Who is going to control the track? They must say athletics. And there's no whether the government want to come and say, well, we put in money and we have a say in everything.
Or persons who have in the past have utilized the facilities, they may probably want to have some different opinion.
We can't. No, you see, the thing about it, it's not about, you see, we have to realize a couple of things in this country. We must have sacred grounds and believe that we must respect them.
Of course. We
have one track in Antigua. Why should we open a track to the general public? For everybody, for you to come in and walk, this to come in and walk.
Right, bicycle.
You bring your bicycle, you come on with your high heel shoes and the cars, and you're going to tell me at the end of the day, oh, I have taxpayers' money, and, because I've been through all that with people, and they think they can come in and, no. This is sacred grounds, because in just about every other country that you visit, no facility like that is just open to the general public, right? In Florida, they have plenty of track all over the place. Some of them are open to the general public. You want to go walk, talk, do it, you can go and do it, because it's a community stuff. But there are facilities that you just can't go there unless you have permission to be there. And we are the only track, that's what should happen. You have Vivian Richards Stadium. it is sacred ground.
Yeah.
It's not for Tom, Dick, and Harry to come in and go and play softball and go out. You know, you'll have to sit with the board, and the board will say, listen, hey, we can accommodate. No, we can't accommodate that. Move on. And you must respect it. You know, you have to have that.
Or if you have certain things in place, even for a tour.
Yes.
So you can walk through the halls and you see all the things that you were talking about
right.
earlier.
So people must be able, and that's you're right. You know, if you give your Vivian Richards Stadium, I remember years ago, I just stand and watch all the tourists come off this. I remember I give tourists direction. They want to know where Antigua Recreation Ground is.
Right.
Because they hear about this Vivian Richards and Antigua Recreation Ground.
That's
and
right.
they, they want to know where it is so they can come and take a picture and go inside and take a picture of the stand and everything, because it has, there is
history
to it. There's a name that goes along with Antigua Recreation Ground. Now you come to Antigua, you want to know where the Vivian Richards Stadium is. You can't up to gun shops. You have the area, that's the area, and you take pictures and you look around and you figure, well, hey, listen, this man has achieved something big for this country, and they name this after him. And I think these are some of the things that we need to look at as a country. Sometimes I just think that everything having too much politics. That is just my problem. That is my problem. I just think that the country come first. There's certain things that I just think is just about the country, and let's just deal with the country to make the country right. And the rest of it, you can let the politician deal with the politics, man. We deal with voting. You vote for who you want to vote for, move on, who win, run the country properly, and that's it. Because I figure the country, I'm always of the view, if the country run good, all of us will run good. All of us benefit.
That's right.
If
That's
it run
true.
good, all of us benefit. I don't really, all of us may have our bias going forward, but you have to have an open mind where politics is concerned.
Okay, for the future plans, for Yasco. Are you thinking of maybe renaming the stadium, and what are the other things that like the second phase of the project? What it entails?
Well, the next phase of the project really is to look at the stand and the infrastructural facility, internal facility that we're going to need: stands, bathroom, a weight room. And once we get the stand, we probably can incorporate a weight room inside it. If not, we can build a weight room differently on the eastern side of the track, which is part of the plan that we have.
And you have the space for it, isn't it?
Yeah, we have the space for it,
good.
yeah. And I think that's what we need. That's basically what we need in place right now. If we get stands in Yasco, we can host. Hopefully next year, if we get it hopefully before the next track season, that we can at least host the OECS championship. That we can bring something big to Antigua. At least people will see a lot of international athletes. Well, all original athletes. Because OECS really deals with all the original athletes, and sometimes big names come home. Big names come home to run, while you have the facility to come home to participate. So we will hope that we can host that. I was looking this year doing the age group, but because of the pandemic, we couldn't really get to that, and that is part of the problem. That is part of the problem that we are dealing with. So we hope as time progresses, that we will be able to host bigger meet once we get that. I think it's basically just the laying out of inside the Yasco is the next phase. Whether we're going to take it stand and then move the fence in, and we decided we're going to do some painting, and we're going to paint the walls, kind of brighten up the surroundings. That is in the motion right now. I think sometime during the week the defense force guys came down to start, but they did not get the paint in time. So hopefully, maybe next week after the national championship, we may see something. If not during the week, if times permit, that we can do some work during the week on the fence, brighten up the place. And then we fix the gates already, the fence is in good shape. That's basically what we have to do, the stands, get the stands inside the toilet facility.
I know I've seen in Jamaica, and like in the walls, they've painted some of the famous sporting athletes painting.
Yes.
Is there any plan for that, or are you looking more on the commercial side of it?
No, we are going to have some of our athletes on the wall, and some commercial side of it. So we'll be looking at it in both ways. Maybe on the western side, maybe on the Nugent Avenue side, we may just put some athletes. We may put athletes on the wall, and on the Old Palm Road side, we may see if we can go do some commercial, and inside also. So we have because I think you get better. When we have an event, you get a little bit better mileage from the inside. Going back and forth.
Commercially, probably better in the inside for the cameras. If you're gonna.
Yeah, and hopefully once you put your name on the wall, that when we have an event, that you sponsor it. That would be nice.
Right. Especially at the starting mark 400.
Oh yes, the back. And we're looking at. I'm also looking at hopefully next year that we can have a really classic. Some time ago I approached Digicel. I'm going to go back and have a talk with them and see if they're willing to take it on, or some other company who's willing to step up and really sponsor that and really sponsor that and really sponsor it. So we will continue to work in that vein.
The first thing that I'd ask about the name, if you would think about the name,
I was skirting about it.
I know there was a lot of things that came up, and they want to know,
I'm skirting about it, but would you want to listen? I like the ASCO, but it just went up.
And just for those viewers and people watching, the ASCO was a young athletics sports
complex or something.
Complex, yeah,
Young
right.
Antiguan Sporting
Complex. That's the ASCO.
Something like that. Complex, something like that. Yes, yeah. Somebody gave me the full name one day, but I know as far as Young Antiguan Sporting Complex.
Yeah, because a lot of names I think came up as to when it's finished. The Sobey, Frederick Sobey, whomever. I mean, and I guess if you decide to put a name on it, there's some people who are not going to agree with that name, and so maybe it would be better if you
just say Jasco. Leave it alone, because you know everything around you somebody will come up with something.
But at least
I remember life is funny in this country. I think it's a funny place.
Yeah.
We're doing a sports award, the Athletic Association. And I'm like, we want to start a Hall of Fame. So I had, I'm going to start calling his name last. I had who I had it? I had Wesley Barrow. I had Henry Greer. I had Lester Bird. And maybe two other persons, I think. I can't remember the rest of the names. And then I'm saying, this is just done in-house, And then all of a sudden one day I get a phone call. Lester Bird and jump 26 feet. Me like, News that we are just people that just like confrontation. We are very confrontational, right? Very confrontational. I'm like sitting on the like, what this is all about? Whoever said the man jumped 25 feet?
Yeah.
The man gave me his whole history. I never said it. They said he jumped 26 feet. I've heard people say he jumped 26 feet.
It's true, yeah.
But he never gave me anything that said he jumped 26 feet.
He
told me all what his achievement officially, right? I jump over 25. I jump over 25 feet indoors, but a foul jump.
Yeah.
But I have a picture to show the jump. But it doesn't count.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, I say I jump 25 feet. My best jump indoor is 24. It's 24 months of 4.5 or 3.5, something like that. Those are the best jumps. So if somebody come and say, I know man, you jump 26 feet or 25 feet indoors, and but it's not official. Official is is what's there. And believe me that we would not be posting anything that is false. But it's to show how people, once you start something, it's to show how we start to look at things, in depth, and start to see how best we can slice it and dice it to make sure that, you don't, this person don't get this and this person, somebody don't get that. You can't say this, you should say that, and can't deal with that.
See that?
So that's the reason I say leave it as Jasco.
Yeah. But it still goes back to what we discussed earlier. When you mentioned about what are the plans that you need to do to record things. Because if if you're hearing that, I've heard the same thing. Lester has jumped this amount of feet and stuff like that, and he had this record at Michigan and stuff like that, but there should be more that you can read on, to say, well, look, he competed in this and stuff like that. So when someone who have witnessed it dies, the record is gone.
There. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. So it needs to be recorded.
Surprisingly, I had a discussion with Wesley because I'm telling him what I'm doing, and I need some pictures of him. And Wesley brought me a picture, and so I said, Wesley, what's this? He said, that's a 1966 Commonwealth Games team.
See, right?
Wesley Barrow, Wesley Challenger, and two young ladies that I don't know. So, but I have the names.
Good. So that's it. Yeah.
And so people within themselves do not really understand the history. The history, right? We had her, Dr. Ashover. They told me she was either hurdler. She was a hurdler. She ran the hurdles. Right?
Yeah.
Who knows that? We had a hurdler some time ago. Henry Greer, a good discus throw. They're competing for the West Indies. Right. I remember the first time I went down to Trinidad. I went to Trinidad. Well, I couldn't say the first time, but as an official, as a coach, I'm standing next to this gentleman, and he's saying to me, "Man, your guy there from Antigua, man. Your guy there from Antigua. You know, he was a very good jumper. You know." So I'm scratching.
You trying to remember
who he talking? No, I don't know who he talking.
Yeah.
Then he say. Then I said, "Who are you talking about?" Because I'm looking at the age of the person talking to me. So who are you talking about, Lester? He said, "Yes, man, your prime minister, man. Your prime minister was good, you know.
Yeah, you see?
He was real good." I think he's the one who told me that when they were picking the West Indians, Lester Bird got his first jacket. He the first one that got his jacket or something like that. I'm saying, it's said to us that we always produce top class athletes. Bar none. Track and field, football, cricket. I'm going to hold to those basic sports, those three sports, because those will be our mainstay. And when we're dealing with netball in the days in the 70s of Jocelyn and those girls and so, we had a darn good netball team.
That's right, yes.
We had a darn
We're
good
on the world
netball team.
stage, yeah.
And you know, so we had standards, but the thing about it, that I find kind of a strange going forward is that, as I tell you, is the amount of sports that we are playing nowadays, that it takes away a lot from where our talent, where we are really talented. It takes away from that, because then the team sports grab most of our athletes. The team sports grab them up. In our days, you'll find the girls playing, most of our girls play netball, and I think that and do track and field. That probably was the most sports they play, because there was no football, there was no cricket for the girls. So it's that netball and do some track, and some of them do track and field. Today, they play football, basketball, cricket, everything. So we have to now, as a country, determine exactly where we are going to put our money. If we have, let us identify, as you asked me, the six disciplines that we will support financially, until others can really prove that they can step into that circle. And we just do that, and we will surprise what we will turn over at the end of the day.
You know, but what I like very much too about what we discussed a little earlier about the fusion of all the different associations to work together so that we can support each other, so that we can have a vast majority of spectators, you know, for the particular sport. Because let me tell you, I know sometimes, like, let me bring in a little politics here, because sometimes when you hear Minister of Health is on the radio and with an interview, and then he's asked a question about, so what are they doing something for sports? So he probably say, look, you have to wait until you get the Minister of Sports to come in and answer that. Or what's going on in public works? You say, you have to wait, and when you get the Minister of Public Works, you can ask him that kind of question. I found that in Cuba, you know, that everybody knew of everything, right? So I kind of like the idea that you mentioned about the associations on all them.
That's
so
what we should do. It's needed. It's needed.
Yeah.
It's needed. I'm saying, I should not have to be worrying about who's our number one striker, who is this person, what the person look like. I'm saying, for my total involvement, football is having a tournament. I get an invitation as the president of a
That's right.
to be there at the tournament, and I go up and I'm sitting, I'm talking with Bato, I'm talking with the general secretary, other members, and you know, people discussing, you know, hey, John down the way, you know, John is so and so and so, and you start following that person, you know, automatically you start following the national players,
and ideas come up too.
Things come up, you talk, you know, you discuss, you say, listen, why we don't try this or why we don't try that. I was always of the view, and I'm telling you, I'll say something about football. I'm always of the view. Every team in Antigua should be a premier, first and second division. Makes up power. That's power. First, second, and third. You don't have to leave power to go and play for a premier team. You get up from the second division, you might go to first, and then might get into the premier, because there's always people coming in and people coming out. And I think you build stronger team that way. You build stronger. Your Power had, let's say Power have a second division team, but it has no relationship with the first division team. It has no relationship with the premier team. Yes, people may leave and go up because my friend commented, me come here, good player, come over. But what I'm saying, within the registration of the association, you should basically register those three teams coming from Power. If that is Power comes with first, second, and third division. First, second, and premier.
Yeah, you make a good point there, because
this is just
it is a good point.
And I think it would lend itself to be first have stronger team, because there is no way now you can get up and go and farm because you vex with me, go and farm your own team and go and register and play second division but can't happen.
Yeah, the quality job. Yeah.
The quality job, we control it. You're either in or you're out. You go by the rules, or you can just stay on the sideline and just be an official. So we know when we bring people into the fold and you're inside and you're playing our football, you know you come to our rules. You know.
Well, you see, like when you mentioned second and third, you know, it could be youth.
Yes.
You know, youth, and you see, it helps to develop good club structure, because
Yes.
you will find now, if you can say, look, every Premier team that come in must have someone who has some sort of experience in first aid. You know, you don't want that when somebody get injured, some little guy that are just labeled physiotherapist
Right.
run out with a bag of ice and don't know what you doing, start to stretch your leg and do all.
All these things will be looked at.
You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
so
when you reach a kind of a level, I'm saying the policy has to be clear. Because if we're talking about when you get to, especially when you get to, if we can let certain things slide down at, even though I think you should still have in place, it's the minimal,
right.
the minimal at first, at second division. Little higher when you come to first division, but when you get to Premier, that's what it is.
That's it.
Premier. So you're going to shop where you can tell me you have it. Yeah, who's your doctor? Who's your physiotherapist?
That's
Who's
right.
your this? Who's your ball boy? I want to see professionalism.
That's right.
And this is what you push out there. So when you only can get that if you can hold the club structure together. You see, and that's what I'm saying. First, second, and third, one club. It's one club. So within your community that you pull your players from, I can come in at 11 years old. We can have small leagues within our community, running youth leagues and stuff like that in your community. And the kids in them, as they get to a certain age, they can, well, listen, hey, I can get to play for so and so, and then you move from that, you move to this, and you move, and it makes the competition, and you produce. People now becomes more. I will say, I will use the word discipline in itself. In a sense, they become more attracted to the sports, and they and understand what comes, the responsibility that comes with the sports itself. That now you respect your coach. When his coach say, "Hey, this is your little area that you play in," you know that's where you play, and that's what we don't have a lot with the kind of discipline that we don't really bring to our sports. That's why our sports is so fragmented over the years. That we don't have that kind of the coaches doesn't have the kind of a hold on the athlete, because there's no real club structure. There's nothing to really hold the athletes and say, listen, if you don't do it this way, you're gone. He don't care, you're gone, you're going to be your own team.
We're going to play some other
You're going
sport.
to play with somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm saying you can do it if you have a club structure, you can do it. But the possibility of you leaving from Paramount, let's say, and go to English Harbour, it's not going to be a very good one. Because the possibility you get in the English Harbour team who probably have 10 little men down there that try to get up, it's going to be very hard. So, and then we will find that the standards for the game will rise to them. It goes the same thing with track and field. It goes the same with just about any sports.
I want to ask you a little question about the like the uniform, because sometimes when we see Jamaica, you say, look, you know that's Jamaica. You see. In anything, anywhere you go, you say it's just Jamaica. I would love to see somebody look, and
Grenada too. Grenada.
What does it take? What it takes for that to happen? And is there a collective agreement about how what our uniform will be? That it is shared to all the associations, so we have one standard kind of Antigua.
You hear the point that I make about us coming together as
that's right, yeah,
as single fraternity in terms of sports. That's where some of that come out of. You see, people expect the government to tell you that, but the government is not going to tell you that. Things can come and things will go. But I'm saying, if we sit down as sporting organization, basketball, football, track and field, and come up with a standard design among ourselves, including the NOC, among ourselves, this is what our national uniform is going to look like. And then we present it to cabinet. This is what our national uniform. Got the blessing of the government. For no one, anything that design, this is how we design. Right? We come up with about 3 different style or 2 different style of design that
home and away or something.
99.99% I'll wear this one. Maybe this one. Maybe I'll wear this one for 3 years straight, and maybe next year I'll come out kind of shift it.
And then you have replicas that people will support and buy.
Oh yes. Right. So when you do things that then you have a standardized uniform, it's better for all of us. When you're ordering something, you can order something one time. You're going to last you for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever the case may be, you have the uniform. But it's not going to happen piecemeal. You see, one time, football have something. I remember a couple of years ago, I like what we did for athletics. It was looking quite fancy. We thought it could be the standard stuff, but
Of course, yeah,
it
but it wasn't pushed.
It cannot be the but it cannot be the standard uniform unless all of the sporting organization
Agree.
are in agreement with it. So I go with my design, football go with their design. We all may have some resemblance of the flag in the design, but you know, we want something which is standard that all of us wear. And this is what we talk about being nationalistic, you know.
Right.
These are things that I'm talking about need to be put in place so people can understand and recognize. You want to turn people and you just call them and you see red and blue. You say, good, Antigua.
Yeah.
You know,
You
turn it in, look, you see green and red, Grenada. You know,
you see the black, green, and
gold and yellow.
Yeah.
Jamaica.
Yeah.
You know, you know that, right? And Trinidad, I think Trinidad we go with white and
red and white.
Yeah. A couple years ago they had white and black too. But you know what? We just need to standardize our stuff. And once we can be more nationalistic in our representation of this country,
it will reflect down.
It will reflect down, man. It will reflect down, and that's what we just need. That's what we need to do more than anything else. Is to understand as athletes and administrators, when we are leaving the shores of Antigua, we are representing 100. I mean, how to say Antigua and Barbuda? We are representing 172 square miles of people. That's who you represent. Not yourself. You might be including how much. Listen, you're representing these people. Your best foot go forward. Your best behavior go forward. And once you do that, listen, man, the sky's the limit. But things
as you mentioned, Bob, you did there, right? I know we're coming kind of close to the end of our program, but do we look at Barbuda too when we are looking like for athletes?
Yes.
Because I remember at one time we did have quite a few athletes from
Barbuda,
that excelled pretty well, but I think maybe the logistic of traveling to and from.
No, for track and field, we never had a problem with that because we had a good relationship with Barbuda. It's just because of the pandemic, while we haven't really extended anything over to Barbuda for this year. And then they're coming out of the hurricane with the destruction that was in Barbuda and all the different things.
Back,
I think they need to build back. They're building back the country, so that needed within itself, give them some time to settle down. Plus, we're dealing with this now. Hopefully next year that we can go back to normal, that we can go back to normalcy, and we can continue that relationship. Because when we're having our national championship, we normally invite Barbuda over. Right. Sometimes we go over to years ago. We still try. I'm going to try again next year. Hopefully, we can get some sort of a track meet because we have targeted that idea several times. Put on a track meet in Barbuda. We need to do that. We want to get some decent athletes coming out of Barbuda. We had
what's your name? Weatherhead.
We had Weatherhead is. Weatherhead, I think he says yes.
Sure.
And,
but he went to play basketball.
Then we have Shaliko. And then we had a good basketball player coming out of Barbuda. We normally had a little young girl who was running pretty well and all. A couple of athletes well come out of Barbuda. I can't remember all their names, but a couple of athletes well in the earlies, up in the early 2000s and so, came out of Barbuda. And we just need to continue that. We just need to continue. I know sometimes the population can be dwindled down to a while, but there's a lot of young kids down there that we can work with and get up to a certain standard. But sometimes I think we have to take the sports over to them. I think if we should have one grass track, for starters, I think we should put on a nice grass track in Barbuda, and we should go over there every so often and compete in Barbuda. I think it should be easy because a lot of the guys would always want to go over to Barbuda to compete. Instead of bringing them here, we can go over and do something over there to encourage the sports.
All right. Anything that you would like to part with as we come to the end of our program?
I just hope
about the meet and stuff like that.
When we going forward, that I can't even say much about the meet because it's not that we're looking for some mirage of spectators to come to Yasco to what the little thing that we're going to be putting on this weekend to call our national championship. Because we understand the protocol that's going forward, and people has to be fully vaccinated and stuff like that. And then we have to look at the numbers that we can accommodate, and hopefully that things would pan out in such a way that we can have a good meet. That we can have a good meet for the weekend, and we first come, first serve, and when we think we have enough people inside the grounds, we're going to shut it down, basically. Can we do anything much about that? The answer to that is probably no, because we cannot really open it. We cannot really open it to the general public to come and view it. We will hope that they come into the ground, that they will understand that this is not normal times, and we just have to at least limit the amount of spectators to the grounds and any given day. Right now it is more about the athletes than the spectators. It is more about the athletes, to give the athletes something to look forward to. Everybody look forward to the national championship, and we just hope that it will come off successfully. We'll be having our final meeting. We'll have a meeting tomorrow to really look at all the protocol, and we got some questions we need to answer. We need to get back to the Ministry of Health and answering those questions, so they can be comfortable that we have all the necessary things in place going forward. And I think that we should be able to have this event, with no problem.
Okay. Well, I said, we want to wish you all the very best. We want to thank you very much for coming on the program, talking sports this afternoon, and wish you all the best in your elections, and also all the best with the national championships coming up this weekend. So on behalf of our executive producer, which is Tally Arundel, and Mark Charles, who's also our technician, along with our platinum sponsor, ACB Caribbean, Cecil Charles Group of Companies, Blue Mountain Water, Seco Pharmacy, through one of the companies of Cecil Charles, and also Hutchison for the distributors of Pioneer Juices, Brand4Less, and Plumbing and Electrical. We say goodbye for now until next week Monday. Join us again for another exciting edition of Talking Sports.